Before the book was written, I was under pressure. Wow. Mr. Dele Farotimi is here to give us some information concerning this. In fact, I will just leave you guys to watch this video. Please don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe because this man spit out a lot of bitter truth. Thank you very much for all you do. So guys, let's dive right to the next video.
My own is this. Before the book was written, I was pressured. I was under a lot of personal pressure that I must write this book and it must be in the public space because none of us will live forever. Now I have written this book. Those who feel aggrieved by the book should do me the favor of suing me. I have not whispered in a beer parlor. I did not talk in some back room somewhere. I have written a book. It is in the public domain. If they are aggrieved, let them go to court. Maybe everybody, they tell us in Nigeria, go to court. Okay, so me, I'm saying to them as well, go to court.
But you have not still told me on this platform, and perhaps a lot of my audiences who have not read the book, what did Are Afe Babalola do to you?
You are making this sound like some personal grievance between myself and Are Afe Babalola. I'm saying it is not personal. I'm saying that Are Afe Babalola corrupted the judiciary. And in corrupting the judiciary, it came across my practice. When I came across it, I challenged it as a lawyer and I fought it to the point where he could not enjoy the fruit of his exertion in the Supreme Court. In writing the letter that he wrote to the then Chief Justice of Lagos State, Ayomide Philip, he libeled me. He suggested that I should be derobed, that what I had done was deserving of sanction, and I should have been struck off the bar. And when I saw this, knowing what I already knew of what he did, I wrote a letter asking that he should withdraw that letter that he had written that was libelous of me. And he declined. Arrogantly so, he declined. And I sued him for libel. And when I sued for libel, the machines of corruption went into overdrive, and a case that should never have been killed at the preliminary stage was killed. Everything about the case, the judge to whom it was assigned, the manner of the handling of the case, 9 months after it was adjourned for ruling, 9 months. The procedures are clear. It shouldn't be longer than 3 months. 9 months without informing us, in spite of the fact that we had written 2 letters to request to be told when the ruling will be delivered. So, and then the ruling went as far as to say that, look, Sheung, there are some things that should not be reduced to person. This has nothing to do with persons. If Are Afe Babalola was the only person who is licensed to enjoy that level of impunity, that's different. It's not about him. It's a system-wide problem. You simply can't get justice from the system. When I spoke about him and the others, they are merely as examples. He has nothing to do with persons. I don't know him as a person beyond what I have described. I think I've only ever set my eye on him once in my entire life. I described it in the book. It was at Heathrow Terminal 5. That was the only time I ever saw him in my life, and it was before this occurrence. So it's nothing personal. But if persons have perpetrated evil and they have reinforced it and built a system that is as patently evil as the one in which we are living, it becomes the duty of the conscious. If you are conscious of that evil, you must speak against it. If you don't speak against it, you are helping to normalize it. So when the United Nations is speaking about corruption in the Nigerian system, when a judge is appointing his son, his daughter-in-law, when the entire system becomes as prebendal as it has become, it becomes easy for persons to influence things within the system to the detriment of those who should be citizens. So I'm not speaking about persons. I love to speak about persons. But when I am compelled to speak about persons in relation to their impact on the system and as types, I have no choice. I have no choice. It is whether what I have said is the truth or not. That should be what counts. It's not about the person. I don't care about names. I don't care about whether the person is 100 years old or 10 years old. It is about what level of respect have you earned. What is the value of the life you have lived?
Do you think that there is some kind of cultic arrangement within the legal profession that drags the judiciary by the jugular, such that there are some persons within the legal profession that get justice the way they want? Because in some of your explanation, it does look like there is a class of lawyers or the class of persons within the Nigerian legal practice that gets whatever they want in the courtrooms.
The Nigerian judiciary is not different from any other aspect of our society. What you find is that, okay, look at Wahala, for instance. A man is the Chief Justice of the Federation. He makes his son a judge of the Federal High Court. He makes his daughter-in-law a judge of the Federal Court of Federal Capital Territory. He makes his brother Auditor General, Auditor of the Nigerian Judicial Council. Another family member became a judge of the Court of Appeal. When you have these egregious abuses of the Judicial Code of Conduct, when they have more or less turned judicial appointment into a family inheritance, when it is the girlfriends and wives of politicians that become judges and justices, what you find is a replication of what you have in the police, in the custom, and in every other aspect of our society. So it is not as if there is a special cult in the judiciary or at the bar. No, not necessarily. It's the same Nigerian factor of not holding people responsible for their actions, of a system that is not designed to enforce the rule of law. It is that same system that you are seeing at work in the judiciary. It is just that its effect on the judiciary is by far more ruinous than everywhere else, because the illusion of justice has been eroded. There is no longer any illusion that there is justice. Everybody now knows that you are not going to get justice from. How do you expect to get justice from a court that is constantly doing all kinds of somersaults? So it's not about a court somewhere. If there is one, I'm unaware. But I do know that with every other Nigerian thing, when some people have conquered a space as though it were to be a territory, you then find a succession of their children, their friends and assigns being placed in offices, and the person who has appointed you, to a very large extent in a prebendal system, gets to dictate what you do. So we've managed to evolve a judicial system that works to deliver justice to the poor and to the rich and powerful, but only judgment gets to the poor. So the poor will end up in prison, the poor will end up with the heavy end of the stick, but the rich, they get justice delivered faster. If an emir wants to sue now, he will sue and they will deliver judgment within 1 week. That's why you ended up with the madness in Kano. But if a poor man needs justice delivered quickly, he's still in court for the 4 years, like I have been in court for 4 years, and I'm not exactly poverty-ridden, and yet nobody has heard me. So what kind of judicial system have we built? So it's not about persons, it's not about court, it's a reflection of who we are as a society and what we have done to our justice delivery system. It's nothing to do with any court.
I'm quoting you. Nigeria and its criminal justice system are one of the most violent injustices that I have ever seen coming out of that Supreme Court. Came from a panel on which this particular justice sat twice. I'm talking about Justice Ariwola But a lot of encomium has been on him as he bows out. President Tinubu stated that he was selfless, hardworking, and dedicated. Don't you see that your opinion of the CJN or the retired CJN differs from that of the president or some section of the Nigerian public?
Well, these people who are expressing all these opinions of Justice Kayode Wahala and talking about how selfless he is. How selfless is he when he was appointing his son a judge of the Federal High Court against the clear provision of the Judicial Code of Conduct? I'm not going to, like I said, it's not personal. So, daughter-in-law, a judge, his brother, auditor, another cousin, justice of the Court of Appeal, under his watch as the Chief Justice of the Federation. So, me, I'm not going to join issues with his judgment by history. I've written what I know of him. Other than that, I don't know him as a person.
Coincidentally, there was a matter in court with the former Minister of Finance, Kemi Adeosun. And it looked to me that this is yet another kind of frustration that you express in this book about the state of our justice system. How sad do you think this scenario for you based on how you express it in the book?
Mike, I had a case. I was being tried before Justice Dada, and whilst I was there, two people were equally being tried by the EFCC before Justice Dada. The lady was trying to procure a visa to the United Kingdom, and she was trying to do this using forged documents, and the second accused, our co-accused, was the one who was more or less like the travel agent who provided the forged document. Whilst I was there, whilst my own case was also going on, this pair were convicted and sentenced to prison. It was the same week that they were sentenced to prison that the Kemi Adeosun story was breaking in the Nigerian press. And I was looking at this, in this same society, where somebody who was trying to escape the madness of Nigeria in a desperation, yes, not condoning criminality, happened to her, nothing. So for the poor, you have judgment. For the rich, you have impunity. It's not about persons. It's painful, but the reality is that Nigeria is not blessed with a justice delivery system. There is none. The sooner we all wake up to the reality and just admit to our problem, the better for all of us.
So the question, because in all of this, you've established and you've shown some of the practical, you are not talking about things that you plucked from the root. You are talking about your personal experiences in the Nigerian judiciary, in your own practice. But it does look like a hopeless case for anyone seeking justice in the Nigerian judiciary. How do you think anyone can get justice? What are the hopes? How do we get out of this quagmire? And you have said that it is a societal problem, and it's not only typical of the Nigerian judiciary. There are other sectors. What can we do? And I'm hoping that there will be solutions for us to be able to get the kind of judiciary that we wish for.
We can't wish for anything. The only thing that will save Nigeria, whether we like hearing it or not, there has to be a revolution of our minds before we can even talk about a revolution of our systems. But the system itself is what has conditioned all this to be happening, because there are no consequences for bad behavior. The apogee of the impunity that has come to define our lives as Nigerians is when you hear them tell you, go to court. That statement is pregnant. Now, the truth, all I am doing, I think the only thing unique about the book I have written is that somebody is talking about their own experiences, and they are not doing beer parlor talk, and they are putting names and dates and facts and figures. That is the only thing that is different. I have come to paint the details. Judicial reputation is at an all-time low. The Supreme Court judgment have become perfunctory. That is not Dele, that is the venerable Ebunsofunde SAN. Do you know that man is a doyen of our profession.
Mr.
That's his language.
Mr. Farotimi, can we expect any, if Justice Kekere could decide to bring out some very major judicial reforms, do you think we can see some kind of changes? And if there is a possibility, what kind of judicial reforms can you see? We've seen a 300% in the rise of pay to judicial officer. Is it a good way to start in reforming the judiciary and ridding it of corruption?
You cannot have a judiciary of saints and angels if you have a country peopled by those who have no respect for the law, for justice, or for equity. It is impossible to have a judiciary that is free of corruption when every other aspect of our society is as debased and corrupt as it is. If politicians that we have all universally agreed are largely corrupt and crooked are the ones who are appointing judges, what kind of judges do we expect them to appoint?
Let's wrap up this conversation. But your position, politically, of course, I saw what happened with Kenneth Okonkwo, who said he no longer speaks for Peter Obi because he doesn't think that he has the grit and the firmness to be able to handle issues. Are you still with Peter Obi? Do you hold similar notion, or what do you make of that kind of situation where he thinks what is going on in the Labour Party needed a firm and a very, very strong handling, but he didn't see that that Peter Obi was able to handle that situation the manner in which he did. Are you also disappointed with what is happening in the Labour Party?
Let me say this. I'm not a member of the Labour Party. And Kenneth joined the Labour Party, so it was his business what was happening there. It's none of my business, and I've not made it my business. I'm not a politician. I am a citizen of a country that is not yet born, a victim of Nigeria looking to have a better country in the future. Peter Obi is a man that I admire a lot. I don't expect him to dictate what should happen in the Labour Party. When did he join them? The Labour Party is a party. It's not, I believe that if it's a party, to an extent, they would have to find a democratic means of resolving their differences. Peter Obi is not in a position to dictate the terms of their settlement to them, and I don't expect him to. Obviously, Kenneth Okonkwo has a different understanding of what Peter Obi's response should have been. He is a politician, just like Peter Obi is a politician. They are the ones who decide what political tactics works for them as politicians. Me, I'm not a politician. As of today, if there were to be a presidential election, Peter Obi is the person I'll still queue behind, because I believe in his capacity to take Nigeria in a non-violent manner to the revolution that I desire. I wish to see Nigeria turn around, and I believe that Peter Obi has the mass appeal and the capacity to unite this country behind a vision for a better future. That is the basis. As at today, I don't know what he might do tomorrow that might change my mind. I'm a free agent. It might be that tomorrow he decides to align himself with persons that I do not believe I can work with, people that I believe cannot bring anything good to Nigeria, and on account of that I might decide, okay, hasta la vista, we can't work together. But as of today, barring any dramatic happenstance, I remain solidly behind Peter Obi, and I will continue to support him into 2027 if he's going to run, and if we have managed to reform our electoral system. Because any election without a reformation of our electoral system, I'm not interested.
2027, Peter Obi, Bola Tinubu, Atiku should move aside.
Like,
or you are of the opinion that 2027, you are of the opinion that 2027, Peter Obi should realign or go back to the ring and see through his hat and run again for president. That's your opinion, and that's.
Peter Obi did not lose the last election. Peter Obi won the last election. INEC and the judiciary performed their magic. 2027, there will be no election without a reformation of our electoral system. If the electoral system is not reformed to ensure that beavers and electronic transmission from the polling unit becomes compulsory, I would not even bother to participate in that election, because you can be sure that Tinubu was not in power that ran and snatched and grabbed it. Already has the 2027 election result written. A Tinubu that will be busy appointing weakest man as electoral commissioner, the most violent election rigger in Nigeria today, openly is Wike. That is the person whose proxy was being appointed as
that's a weighty allegation.
Electoral commissioner.
That's a weighty allegation.
I said it because he's on video now. I beg, she'll stop being politically correct.